All right, today we're going to talk about cutting paper forms and creating a very simple template and scoring our Bristol. So by cutting paper forms, I mean creating paper forms. So this is the triangle that I cut out in the last demo. Perhaps you watched it, perhaps you didn't. And I'm going to line this up with the edge of the paper and trace this out. Maybe you can see my lines. I don't know. Oh yeah, you can see that. I'm drawing a little bit bolder than before. Your X-Acto knife is a great way to grab a hold of your paper if it's starting to wander. Just don't stab it too hard so you make a noticeable mark or a tear in it. So, and then this way, and notice I'm using the edges of the paper as part of my template. And then another important thing to note, so I'm turning this into a form. So I'm going to fold this into a three-dimensional shape that's essentially going to be a bottomless pyramid. And I also want to add in a tab so I can apply the glue to a surface to then connect this side to that side. So when you are gluing something, the more contact, the better the glue connection. So you want, like if I was gluing this edge to this edge, you can see there's not a lot of contact there. It won't be a very strong glue joint. But if I have two flat sides going together, there's more contact, and the glue likes that better. So remember what I said about in the last, maybe I said this, maybe I didn't, in the last demo or not, but cut into your waist. So I'm keeping this, I'm not keeping, well, I'll probably use this for other stuff. So you really don't want your knife to go anywhere, but you do want to cut into your, you want to cut away from the material that you want to keep. You also want to obviously cut away from yourself. So make sure your hand is out of the way. So when I'm cutting, I tend to actually ease up on my pressure once I get to my pressure, my speed, once I get close to where I'm going to end my cut. Because I don't want an X. So I just sort of slow down my speed a little bit so I can kind of feel, I'm paying more attention to how difficult it is to get through the material, so I can kind of feel the release when my cut is reaching another cut. It's kind of meeting another cut. Sometimes you have to go back and make sure that they actually meet each other. So that didn't really, so you always want to you never want to force something apart. You always want to kind of see maybe what areas might need to be connected again and cut again, and do that instead of trying to just tear things apart, because all that does, paper doesn't like to be forced. All it will do on you is rip. So before I erase all my pencil lines, I'm going to go back over those lines but not cut through. So what I am doing is, it's called scoring, and I am essentially just scratching the surface of the paper so I can get a nice clean edge when I fold it. I don't want to mess with that too much, because you don't want to kind of fold it and then flatten it out and fold it and flatten it out. So you also want to score the edge of your tab. And if you find that your pencil line isn't exactly where you want the knife to go, you can change it up. So be careful putting too much pressure, especially at the edges, because the paper will split apart on you if you cut through or you almost cut through. Yeah. So before I actually go ahead and create my form, I'm going to clean up all my pencil lines. You can hear my dog. Clean up my pencil lines, get them out of the way. So now I have these nice crisp edges. And notice I'm not forcing my folds. I'm just convincing the paper to do what I want. So I'm very gently putting pressure on until it eventually starts to create that angle that I'm looking for. I can see I need to trim that up, but that is okay. So this is PVA glue, polyvinyl acetate. It is a bookbinder's glue, and it is a fairly quick bond with paper. It works similar to Elmer's glue, but it's slightly higher quality, and it doesn't wrinkle your paper as easily. However, if you apply too much of any liquid glue, what you're doing is you're rehydrating the paper, and then it will shrink a little bit as it dries and create all those ripples that you've probably all experienced when you've glued your work together. So you really want to apply a very thin bead of glue. It's good to have a scrap piece nearby in order to use this as my scrap piece, in order to kind of put excess. I take a junky paintbrush. Do not use your good brushes on glue. That's a bad idea. I take a junky paintbrush and I spread the glue really thin. So you want a nice thin, even layer. You only have about 30 seconds or so to work, so don't like over obsess over making sure that your glue is a nice thin, even layer. And PVA works best with pressure, applied pressure. So you want to apply even pressure across the glue joint. Make sure your hands are clean. I noticed I just like swiped dirty marks in the glue because there was a little bit of glue that bled out of the edge. Look at how gross that is. You don't want that. So make sure your hands are clean. You can kind of scratch that out with an X-Acto knife. I'm not going to make you watch me do that for this long. So that's like basic fundamental elements of making a form out of paper. You want to make sure you get all extraneous marks off of it. If you were sloppy with your glue, you can scratch that out with a X-Acto knife. Sometimes you can wipe that off with a very, very, very damp paper towel. But now I have my pyramid form.